Very good morning, students. Please take your textbook. Please open your lesson 8th lesson and please take your pencil in your hand to underline the main points. Okay, let us start. Lesson name it is Women, Caste and Reform. Have you ever thought of children lived about 200 years ago? Nowadays, most girls from the middle class families go to school and often study with boys. We can see mixed schools nowadays than the single gender schools. In olden days, we can see many schools like that. The boys schools and girls school like that separate. Now, co-education is going on. Then the growing up, many of them go to colleges and universities and take up jobs after that. They have to be adult before they are legally married, and according to law they can marry anyone they like from any caste and community, and widow can remarry too. The situation what we are enjoying nowadays, that we are describing here. We are going to schools, colleges, then universities, and we are getting jobs. Then after becoming adult, means 18 years for girls and 21 years for boys. After that we can get married legally. Then according to the new laws, you can marry anyone you like, not according to your caste or community or religion like that. And even widow can remarriage. Can you imagine like that one society before 200 years? All women like all men can vote and stand for election. Of course, these rights are not actually enjoyed by all. Poor people have little or no access to education, and in many families women cannot choose their husbands. In the olden situation we are describing here, the children and the poor family, a boy or girl, they won't get chance to study. Then next thing, the ladies, they are not supposed to select their husbands. Then 200 years ago things were very different. Most children were married off at an early age. We have seen that one in the key points. In the age of 5, 10 like that they used to get married. Both Hindus and Muslim men would marry more than one wife. In some part of the country, widows are praised if they choose death by burning themselves on the funeral fire of their husbands. Women who died in this manner, whether willing or otherwise, were called sati. What is sati? The death of the lady in the funeral pyre of her husband. Then women's right to property were also restricted. Besides, most women had virtually no access to education. Many parts of the country, people believed that if the woman was educated, she would become a widow. If that was the belief of the country, if the people they are educating the ladies, and they will become widow very fast like that. Difference between men and women were not only once in society. In most regions, people were divided along lines of caste. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas considered themselves as upper caste, such as traders or money lenders, often referred as Vaishyas, were placed after them. Then comes the peasants, the artisans such as the weavers, potters, referred as Shudras. At the lowest rung, there were those who labored to keep the city and villages clean or worked at the jobs that upper caste considered polluting. That is, it could lead to the loss of caste status. Means after this Shudras, there was some caste. Means the outcast people, those who was cleaning now the municipality cleaning workers, they are coming not according to the caste, but in modern situation it was according to the caste. Then upper caste also treated many of these groups at the bottom as untouchables. Means if they are touching or if they are coming near to them, they will become polluted like that. The upper caste people, they was thinking. They were not allowed to enter temples. The poor people or the untouchable never got chance to enter the temples. Draw water from the well used by the upper caste and bath in the pond where the upper caste bath. Then bathe in the ponds were the upper caste bath. They were seen as inferior human being, and if you are reading the books of that time, we can see that people was believing that the poor people or the untouchables, they don't have soul also, they are considered like animals. That much inferior being like that we was considered here in India. Over 19th and 20th century, many of these norms and perceptions slowly changed. Let us see how it happened. Then in which century? 19th and 20th century, we can see little bit slowly it started to change. Then working towards change. From the early 19th century, we find debates, discussions about social customs and practices taking on a new character. One important reason for this was the development of new forms of communication. Please underline why the social customs and practices started to change, because of the new forms of communication. For first time, books, newspaper, magazine, leaflets and pamphlets were printed. Please underline what are the new forms of communication in the time of 19th and 20th century. Then these were far cheaper and far more accessible than the manuscript that you have read about class 7. We studied about the manuscript. We in 6th and 7th standard we learned about it manuscript. We are having the Vedas and Smritis, epics like that. That was manuscripts, and it was very costly and not accessible to all people. But the books, newspaper like that, things very cheaper, and it was accessible to everyone. Then, therefore, ordinary people could read these, and many of them could also write and express their ideas in their own language. Then in the newspaper and magazines, people, they can write their own ideas, that also in their own mother tongue. Like that situation came to the society. Then all kinds of issues, social, political, economical and religious. Please underline what type issues they was making the debates and discussions with the help of new forms of communication. Social, political, economic and religious could now be debated and discussed by men and sometimes by women as well. And in the new cities, the discussions could reach out in the wider public and could become linked to movements of social change. Then it is from the city, it is moving to the other parts of the country. Slowly it is developing as movements. That also we have seen in 7th standard how that movement it is starting. These debates were often initiated by Indian reformers and the reform groups. Two people means the individual reformers as well as the reform groups together. They initiated the debates and discussions. On such a reformer was one of the such a reformer was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Please underline, one of the social, religious, political reformer of India. That is Raja Ram Mohan Roy, 1772-1833. He founded a reform association known as Brahma Sabha. Please underline that one. The name of his association, that is Brahma Sabha. What was the intention? To reform the country. Later known as Brahma Samaj in Calcutta, where he started his association, that is in Calcutta. And the first name, starting name, it was Brahma Sabha. Then slowly it is changed to Brahma Samaj. People such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy were described as a reformer because they felt that changes were necessary in society and unjust practices need to be done away with. And why we are calling Raja Ram Mohan Roy or some of other people as a reformer? We need some of the changes, and the unjust things or the problems of the society should remove from the society or go away. They thought that the best way to ensure that changes was by persuading people to give up old practices and adopt a new way of life. Please underline that one. How we can ensure that the changes it is happening in the society, or how we can make sure that society people are ready to make changes in the society. First thing, people, they want to give up their practices for themselves and adopt the new way of life. Then Raja Ram Mohan Roy was keen to spread the knowledge of Western education in the country and bring about greater freedom and equality for women. And we have seen in the last lesson, Gandhiji and Tagore, Gandhiji is thinking like that Western education is worst, and Tagore is saying like that we want to mix up both and we want to teach, and Raja Ram Mohan Roy is saying like that we want to teach the Western education here. And for what? To bring greater freedom and equality for women. Please underline. He wrote about the way women were forced to bear the burden of the domestic work, confined to the home and kitchen, and not allowed to move out and become educated. The next part, changing the lives of widows. Ram Mohan Roy was particularly moved by the problems of widows faced in their lives. He began a campaign against the practice of sati. Please underline. His first reform started with sati. Ram Mohan Roy was well versed in Sanskrit, Persian and several other Indian and European languages. He learned different languages. He tried to show through his writings that the practice of widow burning had no sanction in ancient text, and he is taking the Vedas and other books, and he is trying to show to the people of India and other countries also the burning of the wife with the husband's fire. It is not there in the text like that. Please underline that one. By early 19th century, as you have read chapter 7, many British officials had also begun to criticize Indian tradition and customs that we have seen last lesson. They were therefore more than willing to listen to Ram Mohan Roy. Therefore, more than willing to listen to Ram Mohan Roy, who was reputed to be a learned man. And in 1829, sati was banned, and the British officials also was ready to listen to Ram Mohan Roy because he was a learned person. Then in 1829, when British government was here, that time itself, the East Indian Company or the British government, that time itself they banned sati. This is before the mutiny. That time itself they banned sati. In 1857 we started our mutiny, our first independent war, and before that itself they are banned sati. 1829, please underline. The strategy adopted by Ram Mohan was used by later reformers as well, and he was given the one way, and other reformers also started to practice the same way. Whether they wished to challenge a practice that seemed harmful, they tried to find a verse and sentences in the ancient sacred text that supported their point of view. They can suggest that the practice as it existed at present was against early tradition. The thing is, what they done, they learned the Vedas and other text of India, ancient text of India, and they are saying like that it is not there in the text, so we don't want to practice this one. Same way how Ram Mohan Roy done the same way. The first tie then down to the piles. Ram Mohan Roy published many pamphlets to spread his idea. Some of these were written as a dialogue between the advocate and a critic of the traditional practice. Here is one such dialogue on sati. Advocate on sati. Women are by nature of inferior understanding, without resolution, unworthy of trust. Many of them, on the death of their husbands, become desirous of accompanying them, but to remove every change of their time to escape from the blazing fire in the burning them as we first tie then down to the piles. Opponent of sati. When did you ever afford them a fair opportunity of exhibiting their natural capacity? How then can you accuse them of want of understanding, if after instruction in knowledge and wisdom a person cannot comprehend or retain what has been taught him? We may consider him as a deficient. But if you do not educate women, how you can see them as inferior? Then we can see that Ram Mohan Roy using the dialogue method and saying in the first person the advocate of Sati and opponent of Sati, like the different dialogues he written to make the awareness among people about Sati to ban, like that. For instance, one of the most famous reformer, Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, used an ancient text to suggest that widow could marry. Then another one, second reformer, that is Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar. His suggestion was adopted by British officials and a law was passed in 1856 permitting widow remarriage, and 1829 they are banning Sati. Then 1856, after 25 years, we can see British people, they are making the law like that widow can remarry on the context of the explanation of Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar. Those who were against the remarriage of widow opposed Vidyasagar and even boycotted him. And many people of the society, they was not ready to accept the theories of Vidyasagar, and they started to boycott him. By the second half of the 19th century, the movement in favor of widow remarriage spread to other parts of the country. In Telugu-speaking areas of the Madras presidency, Veerasalingam Pandulu formed association for widow remarriage, and it is spreading to other parts of India. Around the same time, young intellectual and reformer in Bombay pledged themselves to working for the same cause. In North, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, who founded the Reform Association called Arya Samaja, also supported widow remarriage. Like that, from one part it is starting and it is spreading to other parts of India, and many thinkers or philosophers or the reformers coming to make the reform movement here in India. Okay, we'll continue in next video.